We're talking today with Tiernan Ray of ZDNet about facial recognition technology, how it's being used today, specifically in law enforcement. Tiernan, I know you wrote a great article here for us about how this technology is being used specifically in California. So tell us about that.
So we took a look at software from a company called Veritone. It's a publicly traded company, ticker symbol VERI. And it's founded by one of these sort of kid programmers, started out early in life, a guy named Chad Steelberg. He's now a serial entrepreneur, but he claims he wrote his first AI program when he was in about seventh grade. He sold a company to Google, previously got a bunch of money, and so now this is his next venture, Veritone. What they do is they make software for a bunch of different kinds of AI applications. And the area they're expanding into now, because they started out in media, selling to media companies, now they're trying to sell to government, and they're starting out by selling to local law enforcement, for example. One of their applications is, can you take an image of a perp from a crime scene compared to a database of known offenders, people who've been arrested before, and see if it's the same person? So we spoke with the deputy chief of police, the deputy sheriff, Julian Harvey in Anaheim, California, which is in Orange County, which not coincidentally is not far from the offices of Veritone. And Mr. Harvey said that they're using this now where they get images off of a, let's say, closed circuit television camera in the scene of a crime. They see someone fleeing, and so they've got a grainy image of someone, and they want to see, is that person's image match their database of mugshots going back over decades. Usually they would have to do this by sitting down in front of the computer database of mugshots. They type in some keywords, maybe about age range or complexion or build of the alleged perp, and they see what comes up, and they try and look at these mugshots and look at the new image and say, do these things match? Are these the same person? But now what they can do is they can take the image off the closed circuit camera of the alleged fleeing perp, and they can feed it into the computer, and the computer performs this image matching to say, okay, is there any image in this database of mugshots that matches this image we have from the crime scene?
Okay, and Tiernan, cameras are everywhere, of course, now. They're all over people's houses and on every street corner, it seems. So the video technology is there and the images are being produced. And, for law enforcement to be able to use that for, hopefully, for positive arrests is a great thing. But not everyone is happy about this.
Been a number of actions. The city of San Francisco recently passed an order banning use of facial recognition. There's a number of investigations around the country into this practice. Julian Harvey, the deputy sheriff in Anaheim, tells us that this is a very focused use of the technology where they already have mugshots and they have video from a crime scene. It's not the same as profiling people when they walk into a store. Nevertheless, there is going to be a challenge. Deputy Sheriff Julian Harvey was telling us he expects that in the court of law, the defense will make a vigorous case against the use of this technology. They'll force the sheriff and the prosecutor to go into how exactly did they use this technology in the database? How was the original footage captured? Can we be sure of the algorithms that compare the video footage from the crime scene to this database of mugshots? So this is an open area, right, of legal practice where we're going to see challenges, and we don't yet know if doing this kind of a search will hold up, because as the deputy sheriff was telling me, if they didn't have this technology, some of these crimes would be basically a cold case if they ever came up. They would be dropped because there's just too much work to go through a database of mugshots, thousands, maybe millions of mugshots, and try and see over decades if you can find a match. So this is an area that is actually propelling sheriff's office to chase down cases they might not otherwise. And so when you have cases that might not otherwise have been pursued, then the defense, any good defense lawyer will make a case for maybe this technology is not reliable, maybe the police are going about it in means that are not really fair.
Yeah, and Tiernan, we know there's positives, of course, to facial recognition, positive ways that it can be used, but there is a flip side. So expand on that for us a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is a fairly specific application, Karen, where the police would argue they're simply trying to improve the job that they usually would do to protect people. But where we get into more controversial areas is you're walking into a store and the camera identifies you from a prior visit, and then they're trying to market to you. And then the question is, do you have a right to be forgotten? Let's say, do you have a right to be anonymous when you walk in the store? Does the company having private property have a right to have your image on file or to capture your image as you walk in the store? How about when you walk down the street? Does government then have an ability and a right to track you and to keep an image of you on file as you're just walking down the street? These are all areas that are, I would expect, going to be litigated in future because it's not clear what are the rights of private business and what are the rights of government to track you, to have images of you on file. And now you've got more complications because you've got people with these dash cams. The dash cam can take a picture of a perp who breaks into a car, and then you've got their image on your smartphone. And this is a kind of a weird area where you're not a business, you're not government, you're an individual who happens to capture something. And we already have cases now where these dash cam images have been used when the owner of a vehicle goes to the local police and tells the police are using the image captured by this car owner's consumer camera to then track down a perp. So it's spreading beyond places where there are fixed camera installations to anyone who's got a smartphone or some device that takes an image or takes a video.
Okay, and wrapping up here, Tiernan, did the Sheriff's Department, did they point to any positive IDs that they have made so far because of the technology?
In the case of the Anaheim Police Department, the sheriff's office has known, obviously, for quite a long time that it's tedious to search through a database of mugshots. So they had heard kind of randomly through a third party that there's this company nearby that makes this software. And they, based just on the description, they were interested. They're currently in a pilot phase where they're testing it out. They haven't actually made a purchase. But since they're one of the early test customers, they are the ones who are actually establishing whether this works. And what they've seen so far, they've told me, is one, it does dramatically cut down on the time to search, which means that they will investigate cases where they might not otherwise, where, let's say, the image from a crime scene is too grainy and they doubt whether they could just eyeball the mug shots and make a match. Some of them they would just drop. And they've told me they've actually caught people. In a number of instances now, this has led to positive identification of an individual, and they arrested that individual. So they claim that it's already showing them they can work off of this crime scene evidence, crime scene imagery, and actually apprehend people. So they already think that it works, and they are already certain that it's cutting down on the time it would take them to search otherwise, which means that it actually is going to mean some cases get investigated that wouldn't.
All right, definitely some interesting technology that can be very effective when used properly. So for more on Tiernan's full article, make sure you check it out on ZDNet.